Welcome to the Dr. Raj podcast. Today's episode features Everyday Rheum, a guest series hosted by Dr. Michelle Koolaee. She is a board-certified rheumatologist with a direct care practice in Pasadena, California. She trained at the University of Pennsylvania and serves as faculty and educator at Huntington Hospital, an affiliate of Cedars-Sinai. Inspired by the conversations she has with her clients every day, this series brings practical insights in rheumatology to patients and the medical community alike. And now, here's today's episode.
Hi, and welcome to Everyday Rheum, a guest series on the Dr. Raj podcast. This podcast is inspired by the real conversations I have with clients every day. Our goal is to bring you knowledge, support, and encouragement to help you manage your rheumatology needs with confidence. Today's podcast piggybacks on a prior episode where we discussed functional medicine and its role in assessing chronic fatigue. However, this is looking at chronic fatigue from the patient perspective. And it's more than just feeling tired. For many living with rheumatic disease, fatigue can be overwhelming and hard to explain to others. So I'm joined today by my friend and member in my practice, Miss Alice Payne. Alice is a comedian, mom to two amazing kids, a rare disease advocate, and by her own description, a recovering attorney, which means she's happily traded the courtroom for the comedy stage. She lives with Muckle-wells syndrome, a rare auto-inflammatory disease, and she brings humor and honesty to what it's like living with chronic illness. This is Alice's second time on the podcast, so welcome back, and thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So Alice, can you share with us your journey with Muckle-wells and how fatigue has been part of that story?
Sure. I guess first, do you want to explain what Muckle-wells is? Or
of course, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's an auto-inflammatory condition. Correct me if I say
yes. Yeah. Let's talk about that first, because I think even most doctors don't know what that is.
Yeah. So it's caused by a genetic mutation. I don't know, for your average listener, your immune system is kind of divided into two parts. You've got your auto-inflammatory, they're like your first responders, and then your autoimmune, where that. The auto-inflammatory cells kind of go and suss out the situation, and then the autoimmune cells go in and with more specific things to solve the problem.
Yeah. And I think it's, you know better than like many doctors, Alice, as far as navigating through Muckle-wells. But the way I describe it for patients is that, your immune system is there to protect you and keep you healthy. And by definition, autoimmune diseases, and there's many different types, it's where the cells in our body, for reasons that science can't perfectly explain. In this case, obviously, there's a genetic basis for what is contributing to your inflammatory symptoms, but it's, like the body's almost attacking itself in different ways, and it can manifest with sometimes joint symptoms or rash symptoms. So with that sort of foundation, I'll give the baton to you in describing with what you've experienced. Tell us about how fatigue has been part of that experience.
Okay. So I was symptomatic since I was a kid. I think like as a child, it didn't prevent me from playing sports or doing well in school, but I was absent a lot. And then I think the symptoms got worse as I got older. I think in college and law school, I was better able to manage the symptoms because I had more control over things like my schedule. Mm-hmm. Even things like the temperature of my environment, I could study because that in Muckle-wells can be a trigger to releasing those cells. And so while I had symptoms, when I had a big flare, I was able to kind of rest and recover. And then when I entered the workforce and started working at my first law firm, so just to give you a sense of the time frame, in July 2006, I was studying for the bar exam, studying 8 hours a day and running 5 miles a day. Mm-hmm. Fast forward to December of that year. So I took the bar, passed on the first try, got a great score, doing great. And then once I was working full time in a super air conditioned place, which wasn't great for me, not in control of my schedule, kind of couldn't accommodate my condition as much as I had. By December, I was so fatigued, I couldn't walk from my apartment to the subway.
Wow.
At the time. I was too fatigued to stand in line at the pharmacy to buy toilet paper. I remember just in my suit, sitting on the floor of a Dwayne Reed, waiting for me in line. So that's when I really started pursuing a diagnosis. So that's like December 2006. And I wasn't diagnosed until about 9 years later. I'm
going to pause you, Alice, because I think that's so powerful what you just described. And I know we're going to talk about this later, but just getting the visual, and when people hear fatigue, when we generally think of fatigue, that it doesn't capture until you just described that. And that is really powerful. Like you're running 5 miles, you're functioning at this like amazing high capacity. And it is like really just something else. It really is something else what you described, and that it is that impactful. And I see that in my practice, but I see the challenge in other people that navigate through this, where because it's not a visible thing, then it's family don't get it. Other doctors and just the community, it's hard to be seen when and you really have to having that visual. And I want people listening to really for that to just process and that like it is really very significant. I just saw someone earlier this morning who had profound fatigue and has an autoimmune disease, and that's why he's in the office, and that's what prompted him to pick up the phone and call.
Yeah, it is. It's really hard, and it's mentally it's just a blow. Yeah. So in that time, between like 2006, 2015, the fatigue affected everything. I suffered job loss because as an attorney, it's tough to make up billable hours. And I had to draw boundaries around, like, I couldn't pull all-nighters. I couldn't go on a business trip, get home at 2 a.m. and then show up at the office the next day. And I didn't have a diagnosis to point to explain that. It also affected my relationships. It was prime bridesmaid and bridal shower time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
My romantic relationships, my family relationships. Because I didn't know what was happening to me. So I couldn't explain it to my friends and family in a way that made sense.
And how did it feel just like going through, again, circa 2006, 2007, like that sounds really stressful. Like, how were you coping with it? How did it feel?
Gosh, it felt cruel. I get, and it felt really isolating. I didn't cope with it well. And I, maybe someone else would have coped with it better. I had never gone to therapy. I think I wasn't great at drawing boundaries at that time in my life and just saying, I'm not feeling up to things. So sometimes I said yes. And then I would get really upset. But yeah, it was tough. I mean, I think some family members thought, like, well, Alice, maybe she's just good at academia, but she can't cut it in the real world. Like that kind of, and there's just society and gender bias. And so it really had to um, to look, have a chat with myself of like, that you're hardworking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is real.
Mm-hmm.
Let's like objectively point to all of these things that you've done in the past and accomplished, and you are trying and really, really dig deep into my sense of self and lean on the friends and family that did support me.
And I think it's a really great point that you bring up, because again, I'm just thinking about other conversations that I regularly have with others. And I think you brought up, number one, a great word is boundaries. And I think that it takes energy to explain things. And really, you don't have to explain things to everybody. That's exhausting, and that's a boundary. And I think creating that, I think, is very healthy. And it sounds like, I mean, things have evolved. It's been a long time for you, but I think that for other people listening, I think that's really important, in terms of being able to just reserve energy and preserve it, right? And the people that love you and care about you, they will be there no matter what. Would you agree?
Yes. Yes, they will. They will be there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they will understand,
Mm-hmm.
Might take them some time, and it will take. It certainly took communication on my part,
Mm-hmm.
And the ability to draw boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
and not apologize. Yeah. So.
And is that something, Alice, did you have to seek support through therapy? Like, how did you get those skills to know when you were navigating in like your 20s, like how to get that skill set to be able to cope? Like, how did you find ways to cope?
Yeah. So, I did. I started going to therapy when I was 29.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really helpful. And I also just started, I kind of cut out the people in my life who didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a conscious effort to invest more in the relationships that felt supportive.
Mm-hmm. And was that hard for you in making that transition of like really surrounding yourself just around the people that you felt properly supported you, and cutting out, quote unquote, people that were not providing good energy?
Very. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was hard. And I think it came more organically once I realized that I didn't have a duty to defend myself,
mm-hmm.
convince someone who, had a certain perception of me
mm-hmm.
differently.
And I think that these are really good just skills, and these are coping strategies, things that you worked on over a long period of time, right? Like, it wasn't overnight any of this happened. This was a process for you.
Very much so. It was a long process. And it was an imperfect one, and I made lots of mistakes along the way.
Well, and I think that I'm just gonna like take a step back, and I think that, I always tell people, I just told someone this morning, and I sincerely believe that things don't need to be perfect for there to be progress at all. Things can feel messy, but it's about continuing to show up for oneself every day. And as long as I've known you, that's been a testament to how you navigate through life and navigating through this. So let's fast forward. Obviously there's stuff that you went through in arriving at and having a diagnosis, and now that you're on treatment, how do you feel like your fatigue affects your day-to-day life now?
So I would say I would divide my days into kind of two different days of just like, you know, so a day when I'm kind of flared, I think would be maybe more relatable for people because it's sort of like I feel like I'm coming down with a cold, right? So I have like a headache and maybe a low fever and some aches. And, I sort of treat that day as though you would treat like you're coming down with a cold, like you're feeling a little run down. So like you're not going to go do that extra hard workout or, but most days, I'd say it's just like, I like to think of my body. It's like a old computer from the 80s. It's just like it takes a long time to boot up in the morning, and it's never gonna run really fast, and you can kind of pound on the keyboard, but that's only gonna make you more frustrated. It's not gonna so it's kind of like I only have a certain amount of spoons to spend. I just overall have like a depletion, I think, in energy just because of what's happening in my body. So I have to be choosy about where I spend that energy. And the level of depletion varies, right? So, so I try to walk every day. Some days those walks are longer than others. It's hard to describe. I can't do maybe as much in a day as another person because if I overspend those spoons, then I will have a big flare and there will be consequences. It's just like I can work out. I'm not doing Barry's boot camp and then going to the grocery store and then volunteering at my kid's school and then doing work, maybe I can do a Barry's boot camp. I did it once. I can't. But maybe I can do like a great intense workout. But that would be my physical expenditure for the day. Right?
And I do. And I think it's so valuable the way you describe it. It's like our energy, all human beings, energy is finite. And I think how has that, in kind of rationing energy for what is really most meaningful for you, how do you feel like that has impacted like the decisions that you've made and what you do, what you don't do? Like, how is that impacted the decisions? Yeah.
Yeah. It has, I have to prioritize and like almost in a good way, like a positive of it's made me really focus on what's important. So for some reason, going into a grocery store, like the physical, all of it, like getting out, the lifting everything, the sensory of the store, and then like the air conditioning, especially if it's the summer and I'm going, just for the listener, Muckle-wells temperature is a big trigger and changes the temperature. So that kind of uses up a lot of my spoons. So if I'm having a down day, I'll order Instacart.
Okay.
Because I can either do that or get on the floor with my kids and play this game that I like to do with kids.
It's really amazing how you think through this, Alice, because I think it is, and I really want people listening to really, for that to settle in terms of how intentional it is, what you're selecting and prioritizing. And it is almost like, and some people I see that they really fight it. And they say, no, I want to do like everything on my to-do list. I have to, I need to. And and they get frustrated and then stressed and angry and worked up, and I can't accomplish this. And it's just this unhealthy sort of rabbit hole that people go in. And I really want people to understand what you just shared, because that took time. I can only imagine, to really get in a headspace and have that lens that is just allowing you to, it's like acceptance, but also like this very peaceful surrender, but not like there's no giving up. It's fighting, advocating, being present, but it's like surrendering of like, okay, this is what I can do, and this is how I'm going to choose to live. And I think that's beautiful, because I think that where I see others in their health journey not being even at this place, that it's just, this is just a much healthier way to be. And probably, like, really, like you said, focusing on what truly is important for you, right? Like, and so I'm glad I made it onto your list of like going out to lunch with Michelle. Thanks for budgeting energy for me.
Yeah, I think some of that too is, thinking about what defines me. Just the fact that that I use Instacart maybe more often than the average person, or I run my dishwasher instead of doing the dishes more often. Like, do I feel guilty about spending that money or wasting the water? Yeah, but it's not like, oh, you're the kind of person that's too lazy to go to the store. No, I'm the kind of person that's making priorities, and I've had to adjust because of this circumstance. And other people might not understand that, but I don't have an obligation to explain.
So what's the most annoying part of having fatigue?
Unsolicited, stupid advice.
Okay. No, you need to elaborate on that. Go on.
I don't just Reiki. I don't know. I'm glad if it works for you, and that's great. And do it. But, or have you tried? Or, just listen. I guess, like the fixers. I guess who's that old? Men are from Mars, women are from
Venus. Yes.
Event, and a lot of people want to offer unsolicited stupid advice. So that's part of it, I guess. And I guess the deeper layer of that is that it really is difficult for a lot of people to understand. So like the one time I was in a spin class, and the instructor, just because I look healthy, like pumped up the resistance. Throughout, I tore my Achilles.
Oh, wow.
Which I guess isn't fatigue related, but that's just sort of like, having to, the invisibility of it.
It is. And I think that also, your body best. I tell people this like a broken record. You are your best advocate. You know your body best. And I think it is like to be at one's health. Some people do best health. Some people do think they have to like push themselves to their limit. And that's so the opposite, that there's this like balance that everyone's different. And obviously, like having an inflammatory disease, that again, the boundaries are different, but I think it's just, like knowing yourself and really just being true to that. So Alice, what do you think your life would look like without fatigue?
See, so I guess the flip side of having, it's forced me to prioritize. So I don't like, I think about this a lot, because like I might still be a lawyer in Manhattan, like married to the wrong guy, and with, friends that like aren't as empathetic, or like I might never have found comedy. I probably wouldn't have found, you, like some of my
Mm-hmm.
closest friends, I think I would have a completely different attitude about parenting,
Mm-hmm.
or like I would have come into parenting uh, without as much just empathy. And, I'm pretty A-type, and I was really like high achieving. And
Mm-hmm.
that was my priority
Mm-hmm.
before all of that. It was how I defined myself. And now I define myself by sound like happiness
Mm-hmm.
and connection.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, in a weird way, fatigue forced me to do that.
Do you think and obviously, like, I think it's really powerful what you just shared, but do you think you're happier now in this than you would be if you didn't have fatigue and then things again were different and what your journey, perhaps type A Alice would have been?
I do. I think
Mm-hmm.
I'm happier now. I There's something really freeing
Mm-hmm.
in like to the outside. I mean, imagine like I passed the bar,
Mm-hmm.
I'm living in Manhattan. I was engaged at the time that
Mm-hmm.
ended up broken up. And then like now I'm unemployed. I don't know if I can be a lawyer. I'm single. I failed spectacularly, right? But I'm still here.
Mm-hmm.
And I really had to find a lot of self-love
Mm-hmm.
in that moment, and think, what do I actually enjoy? And what do I want my day-to-day life to look like?
Mm-hmm.
And I do have to accommodate this condition.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not defined by all of those achievements.
Mm-hmm.
I have my own self-worth, and my own opinion of myself is actually primary.
It's amazing. There's this expression that I believe in, all in divine time, where like everything happens the way it's supposed to, even if it's uncomfortable or if it's not how we plan, but there is a purpose to it. And this is such a beautiful example of, okay, this is not kind of what was initially planned on. Again, having a chronic autoimmune disease, having to navigate through this amount of fatigue, but that look what came of it, of just this perspective, this new lens. Not brand new. Obviously, you've navigated through this beautifully for a long time, but this lens of just defining of looking at what defines my happiness and how do I want to live, and I think that I want that for people that are listening to really resonate, because I tell people mindset is everything. Mindset, and having autoimmune disease is everything, and having a healthy mindset and sorting through some hard stuff. It is, figuring out how to be, and figuring out, again, prioritizing, rationing energy, figuring out like what you can and can't do. But it is, you can be even a better version of yourself than you thought of before. So I think that is really amazing. And I appreciate your transparency and sharing all of this. I really think it's going to be very helpful for people. Now, people that are listening that are struggling with fatigue, what advice would you share with them? And what's one thing that they could try?
Ooh. So first, as we've been talking about, be kind to yourself. Second, if when you're dealing with physical fatigue like mine, that will not be helped necessarily by better or more sleep, right? But you'll still have this like impulse to sleep, and that can get tricky, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like you do have to rest, and I'm not saying don't sleep, but also your circadian rhythm is really important.
Mm-hmm.
So like maintaining good good quality sleep rhythms. So I think just like trying as much as you can to stay on some kind of a regular schedule, even if that can involve naps. But like for me, waking up and going to bed at the same time is really helpful. And also movement. Like even if it's like there's this impulse sometimes when you're fatigued just to like act like you have the flu. And that over time isn't going to help you. So even if it's just gentle movement, massage, get the blood flowing, walking is so great. I guess it was just movement, sleep.
Yeah.
Be kind to yourself.
I love that. And then last, what do you feel gives you hope when fatigue feels overwhelming?
It's a journey. Like there's a cyclical nature to it. So I've been here before. It'll get better. And also just the people that I love know that I love them, and it's okay for me to take a time out. They'll be there. They'll, when I'm feeling better. Thank
you. Thank you for sharing your story, your wisdom. I know it's going to resonate with people, and I know that they're going to feel really supported by your words. So thank you. And I sincerely admire the way you navigate this challenging symptom. And I'm really honored to know you and for you to be in my life. So I hope today's conversation leaves everyone feeling supported, empowered, and with peace of mind as you navigate your own health decisions. Thank you for joining us on Everyday Room.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Dr. Raj Podcast. If you enjoy the show, then please make sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app and leave a rating while you're there. This show is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. This has been a production of MedPrep2Go, and you can learn more at medprep2go.com.